Alrighty, good afternoon, 2 o'clock Central Time here in the great state of Texas. Excited to have you here with me today. Lots of things going on in the market today. If you did not go through the Great Recession and saw the insane dive that the market took and then what it was like to come back out of that thing, you're going to want to pay attention today, because a lot of what I'm going to share with you today is what we use to help people actually get through the Great Recession and do some great things. And some of those folks are the most successful and wealthy real estate agents today. We're going to teach you how to be an expert in today's market. Coming right up in the special edition of On the Phone. Alrighty, good afternoon. How we doing here today? Nice to see you here. We're going to go ahead and just bring my little slideshow up here. Nice. So hope you folks are doing well here today, and you can see my slides. Where are you? StreamYard. Thank you. So anyway, a lot of things happening on here today, and kind of what's going on with our good friends here in the real estate market. So what I want to do today is really just kind of go over some things that you need to know in order to be super successful in today's real estate market. Making sure that you are truly the expert is not hard to do, but it is something that you absolutely have to do in order to be successful. Bear with me 1 second. I'm having a little technological difficulty here. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen here. And let me see where the slides. Google Slides. Give me 1 second here. Little issue. First of all, I guess the main thing here I want to take into consideration is that the sky is definitely not falling. Okay, there have been some adjustments that have come down the pike, but it is definitely not falling. And so I think that's the first thing, is that you've got to keep your head about you, while you're talking to your prospects. And if you've never been through a market like this, keeping your head about you is not always the easiest thing. So thanks to who joined us today. I'm excited about that. So I've kind of created a little bit of a slideshow here. I want to kind of go through that first, and I'm going to share some of the resources that I use on a regular basis to help stay on top of the market. And then we're going to talk about some word tracks, some scripts that you can use to share with people to really help you articulate what's going on in such a way that it makes sense to people. And I think the overarching idea here is that you're not trying to get everybody who's out there that's thinking about buying a home to buy a home right now. You just want to be able to lead to the right conclusion those people that are actually ready to go ahead and buy and sell a home, why they should do it now rather than waiting. Okay, so let's bring up the old PowerPoint here. There you go. So anyway, my name is Wally Bresser. On the phone is my thing. So the first thing is your goal with all phone calls with all the people, like if you're going to go ahead and take the time to spend time with somebody, explain what's going on in the market to them, how it's going to impact them, and whether or not they should buy a home, you got to figure it out for even somebody you want to be talking to, right? So we're not looking to set an appointment with and have this conversation with people in depth unless they are looking to move within the next 90 days. And on the seller side, that have equity in their home, which just about everybody and their uncle has equity in their home, and has financing and or cash if they're a buyer. And then last thing is they're moving due to a life event, a birth, God forbid, a death, a marriage, divorce, getting a job, leaving a job. We want to make sure, as always, and this is any market, but especially now that we're going to spend time helping people understand what's going on in the market and why they should or shouldn't buy a home. Let's make sure we're at least spending our time with people that can actually perform. And the people that are likely to perform are those people right there that meet those three criteria. And it should be that way every day with every deal, but especially now, right? Going to move in 90 days or less, has equity in their home and or has financing and get cash, and is moving due to a life event of any criteria, okay? Once you've determined that that's the case, then, you want to make sure that you go a little deeper, right? So, and these are the things you need to know for buyers and sellers. Right. And I am going to get to the stuff you need to do to position yourself as an expert. But really, this is part of what experts do. They don't spend time with people that they can't help or that aren't ready to be helped. Right. So if you're sitting with a buyer, these are the things you need to know. Are you window shopping? You're looking to buy a home now. What has you out looking for the home? What's your motivation? When would you like to be situated into your home? What's your timing? right? Next, how are you finding homes to look at? If they're working with an agent, ask about a buyer agency agreement, right? We don't want to be working with people that are committed to another agent. By the way, the only way somebody's truly committed to another agent is if they signed a buyer agency agreement. So if they haven't signed a buyer agency agreement, they are fair game, right? In the world of real estate, if it's not on a piece of paper and it's not signed by both parties, there's no agreement, right? So remember that. Don't just because somebody says, I'm working with somebody, have you signed a buyer agency agreement with them? I have not. Okay, that person is fair game legally, ethically, and morally. Are you paying cash? Are you getting financing? And lastly, do you lease or do you own? And if you lease, when is your lease up? Excuse me. And if you own, do you have to sell to buy a home? All right. You don't want to work with anybody until you know the answers to those questions and then meet those 3 criteria we talked about a second ago. Now, for sellers, look at that. I guess buyers here. So, what has you thinking about selling your home? If you could wave a magic wand, when would you like to have your home sold? Right? So motivation and timing. Where are you headed when you sell your home? Are you staying in the area or are you moving out of the area? Have you ever sold a home before, either by yourself or with an agent? And when will you be interviewing agents for the job of selling your home? Okay? If you can get the answers to those questions on both the buyer side and the seller side, you will, number one, position yourself as somebody who actually understands the process, as an expert, who is consultative in nature, who wants to know exactly how he or she you can help people. And most importantly, you're not going to spend your time working with somebody and trying to explain to them what's going on in the market and how it's going to impact them until you know for the fact that they meet these criteria. Okay, so that makes pretty much sense. By the way, you can throw comments in here if you have questions, need clarification, or anything. Just go ahead and lay that out there, and I can answer some questions for you. So there's a guy named Mike Simonson, and I'm going to show some stuff from him a little bit later. I'm going to show you the blog that he uses. But there's a guy named Mike Simonson. He's the CEO of Altos Research. And he has a blog, and I don't know if you know this about Altos, but they actually track every home that is on for sale in the United States every day of the week. The homes on the market, they're tracking what's going on with it, okay? And so it's really important here to remember that, let me see here. It's real important to remember, maybe it's a little easy for you to see it, that when they're tracking all this data, they can give you all kinds of information here. So one of the things they track is available inventory, and they've been tracking it forever, but this goes back about 7 years. And you can see that inventory slowly dropped over time. Took a huge dip right here, starting just towards the beginning of COVID. And even though we've started to improve in inventory, there's still much lower inventory than there's been in about 7 years. Here's the key. This is the end of, I'm trying to think here. This was just the end of last week. So last week grew by 7%. The week before, it grew by 6.5%. That means in just the last 2 weeks, almost 14% increase in the amount of inventory in the market. The key thing to remember here is that it's not because that many more homes are on the market. It means that buyers are not buying as many homes, okay? And so I'm just going to try and give you some talk tracks as we go through this. So if you're talking to a seller and they're thinking about selling their home, listen, competition's the name of the game, right? We want to go ahead and have as little competition for your home as possible, right? There's fewer buyers out there that are buying right now. So if you're going to sell your home and you're going to get the best price for it, it's still a good time to sell, but we got to price it properly so it stands out among the other homes that are out there, right? You're going to want to get it staged. You want to go ahead and get it, professional photography taken, right? And so, but the whole point here is that one of the things you need to articulate to people is say, listen, if you're thinking of selling, let's do it now, because if inventory keeps going up by 5% a week, we're going to have a lot more, there's going to be a lot more homes on the market that aren't being purchased, right? Economics 101, lots of supply, not a lot of demand. Prices go down, right? That's the whole point. So, you want to beat the supply, excuse me, you want to beat the supply boom if there is going to be one. We're already up, like I said, 14%, just about 14% in 2 weeks. So you want to show this to people and help them see things, right? Because show me is always better than tell me. You want to be able to show people that if they're going to go ahead and sell their home, they want to sell it now, number one, because inventory is going up and there'll be a lot more competition, fewer buyers, the prices will be going down. Now, next, this right here tracks the median sales price of homes that are currently on the market versus homes that are being listed. Okay, and you can see here there's a fairly large disparity between the two. And we're going to look at some real live stuff in a minute here, but this is just from last week. But as you can see here, across the country, the median median price of a home that's been on the market, more than the last month or so, probably 2 months really, before interest rates started to take off. Right, look, you can see this right here. This is January. So basically, the median prices started to kind of kick off about 2 months ago, roughly. But you can see there's a $35,000 difference between houses that have been currently on the market and homes that are coming on the market now. So that kind of, in conjunction with what we just talked about, right? You can see this here as inventory is going up and fewer homes are being snapped up by buyers. You can see that new home prices are being listed much lower than existing home prices. And in fact, as I'm going to show you in a minute, you're going to see that there's a huge disparity, and it's getting wider and wider between the price of homes currently on the market and the homes that are being listed now. So it's a huge thing to be able to explain to people. On the buyer side, it's a great thing for buyers, right? Because you can show to buyers, hey, listen, 35% of the homes in the marketplace have been reduced recently. New homes coming on the market are coming on at about $35,000 less. We have an opportunity with with less buyer competition. We have an opportunity here to go put in an offer on a house and actually maybe get a house, at a decent price for you for the first time, in a long time. Okay. Next up is, unsold listings. Okay. And if you look at here, right, so there were 22,913 home sales for that week that was covered. 91,620 homes across the country unsold. I don't have a ruler here, but if you look from left to right, we are at the highest level right now as of July, right? We're at the highest level of unsold new listings that we've been in since the last year and a half, roughly. So you can see, and there's seasonal things, of course, right? The winter things pick up. In July, things start to taper off, right? We get this, then we get back down to the winter again. So there's some seasonal things that happen here. But compared to the heat of the market right here, where we were last year, roughly same time, we are starting to see a trend here where more homes are on the market now unsold than before. And even with this line right here, and again, I don't have a ruler here, but these 2 out of these last 3 months or 3 out of these last 4 months have been higher than any time last year. So you can see their trend is definitely there, and it's something you're going to want to make sure your prospects and clients know. All right, now here's the other thing. I talked about this, right? So we started here, and let's go back. I'm an over communicator here, right? We started with inventory popping up and whatnot on this 2 weeks in a row here. You can see our inventory started to start to peak again. It was down here, but last several weeks, but the last 2 weeks it's been almost 14%. So inventory is creeping up. New homes being listed are being listed at a lower price than those that have been on the market. We can see that unsold listings are kind of staying higher at the moment, which means stuff is staying on the market longer too. And now we can look at what's happening with go ahead and price reductions. Okay, so this right here kind of tells you each year what price reductions look like. Okay, and so price reductions peaked at 37.2%, back in 2018, but we've then went to this insane thing. You look at 2021 price reductions here. Look how flat they were in 2020, right? But here we are like hockey stick growth in the number of homes that are being reduced at price, and nationally across the country, it's 30.4. Right, so roughly a third of the homes that are out there have had some sort of price reduction, with respect to the price of the home on the market now. So, what this all leads to is that we're in a situation now. If you're going to sell your home, and you meet those 3 criteria that we talked about, you got to get your home on the market now. And the reason is that you're at right now over the next month or two, you're probably at the chance where you're going to be able to get your home sold for the most amount of money for this year, right? Because as soon as July, August, school starts, then we get a little dip in September, we get a bump in October, and then we start to taper off, right? So if you're going to sell, let's get your home on the market now. Let's price it properly. Let's get it on before a bunch of other people get to the market late here and start really pushing prices down. Number one. Number two, interest rates, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit later. They are, even though they're down from where they were a couple weeks ago, but they're still up significantly since March. So, people are still going to be holding off on making decisions about buying a home. We'll just talk generally about a couple things before I move into some other stuff that you can use to position yourself as an expert. Okay. So first things first, and this is important, and I can't have a conversation about selling and being an expert without talking about being on the phone, just the way it is. And this right now, you got to be on the phone as much as you've ever been on the phone. You may have to make as many as 18 contact attempts to be able to build a relationship with somebody to the point where they're willing to do business with you. It was funny, about a decade ago, it took about 2 cold call attempts to get in touch with somebody, or 2 contact attempts to get in touch with somebody. and do business with them. It's gone up as high as 8. They're saying in some cases it could be as high as 18. So it's a little crazy, right? But look, if you look at the overall audience, or what's the word I'm looking for? Group of people who are likely to go ahead and make a purchase. All right. When we say not problem aware, meaning these 60% of these people are not even on the radar screen. And most of these people are more than 6 months away for the most part. So the people that are in the 60% are 6 to 9 months away or longer from making a decision to move. Okay. Problem aware, these people are probably 90 to 60 days away. Okay. These people, and for sellers, it could be even a little further away. These folks are here, 120 days, 90 days. People are doing something the next 30 to 60 days only represents 3%, right? So what that means is 97% of these people need a phone call on a consistent basis. You need to build a relationship with them. You need to be adding value to what they're doing. Yeah, 18, right on, exactly 18. It's crazy, right? And part of that is because, the number of real estate agents, and let's just think about this for a second. Since 2013, about 563,000 people have become realtors. If you take into consideration total number of agents across the country, it's more like 720,000 agents have come in the market since in the last 8 to 9 years, since the market started to pick up. And so what that means is we have more people calling, not a huge difference in the number of homes sold, meaning since 2013, for the most part, we've sold somewhere between 5 million and 6.3 million homes a year, right? And the 60 millions really only happened over the last year or two. So basically we've had, 700,000 more agents vying for lack of better terminology, 1.5 million more homes, 1.2, 1.5 million homes. And so as a result of that, they're getting more prospects are getting more calls from people. And because they're getting more calls, it's harder to get in touch with them, which means you're going to make more contact attempts to get in touch with them, which is just another reason to build a pipeline of people you talk to and stay in touch with on a regular basis to cut that down. So anyway, if you're going to be in this business, you have to realize that maximum 5% of the people are actually going to go ahead and actually do something in the next 30, max 90 days. 97% of them are not. You must get on the phone. Now, people don't want to get on the phone anymore. People don't want to talk on the phone. They're not interested in talking on the phone. Okay, whatever you say. 10 points if you know who this is. Some of you will, some of you won't. Anyway, I did some research, okay, and I went to Ring Central, who, they have helped people make thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of calls a day. The fact of the matter is that age groups, millennials, our friends who are, somewhere between Gen Z and Gen X. I mean, Gen X and the the baby boom generation, and then end of Gen X all the way to baby boom generation. Doesn't matter where they are, millennial, Gen Z, Gen X, baby boomer, baby boomer beyond. They're actually still wanting to have a phone call. And here's what I know. Here's what I've learned. So look, preferred form of communication. Obviously, our good friends in the millennial group. That's their biggest form of choice of communication. Obviously, as we get older, there's fewer people that are wanting to do chat or something like that through an online portal. However, if you notice, at least for every age group, for the most part, at least a quarter of those people want a phone call. Okay, and this is really before the purchase, right? So a quarter, 25% of those people actually want a phone call. So it definitely warrants you making a phone call to them at that time before they make their move. Look at this prospecting numbers. How important is it to speak on the phone to somebody in a company in these situations? So same thing here. 53% before deciding on services like a doctor, dentist, or a lawyer. I consider real estate agents professionals in that category. Before buying a big ticket item, for example, one that costs over $100,000, a house costs over $100,000, 53%. Before deciding on services like hairdresser, lawman, so basically, people buying big ticket items like houses, people who are making decisions like, to hire a professional like a real estate agent, big time. Almost half of the people, right, in general want to do this. If you look in the age groups, same thing. Super high. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to the recording will be available. You can go watch it again. But the whole point is people still want to talk to us on the phone, right? So you can't not get on the phone with people these days, okay? And knowing what I've told you at this point, the fact they want to get on the phone, and the fact that very few people are making a decision now, and that you have information that you've got to share, you've got to make a commitment to really dig in and start spending some time with people and building relationships with them and positioning yourself as the expert. So, hey, Wally, where do you go to go ahead and find information on how to Oops, let me see here. Please hold. I don't want to go my slides party. I'm not familiar with this part of listen, where are we here? All right, let's get right back here. Okay, sorry. Okay. So how do we go ahead and where do we go to find stuff where we can be an expert? We got some people here. Anybody have any questions? They want to pop a question up or anything? Hopefully what I said made sense. I kind of gave you some general things to take a look at as to what's going on in the market now. Now I want to kind of go and show you some of the resources that I stay in touch with on a regular basis to make sure that I have good information. Because look, I talk to real estate agents every day all over the country and Canada. And in order for me to do a good job for them, I have to go ahead and bring value and understand, what's going on. So in order to do that, I've got to stay on top of stuff. So I'm continually looking at resources and staying on top of things. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the resources I have. So let's go ahead and share screen again. And we'll go Chrome tab and let's pick up let's do Mike Simonson's blog first. So you can see this right here. So this is Mike Simonson right here. Let me see, I think this is full screen layout here. Okay, so this is Mike Simonson right here. He's the CEO of Altos Research, and he's got a blog. Okay, and my suggestion is that you go and sign up for his blog, and not only that, check up with it on a regular basis. Thank you so much for the feedback. I appreciate it. But get in touch with this man. Right, he started in 2006, literally when the market almost peaked, and he's been staying on top of every home in every market across the country every day for the last 16 years. So if there's somebody who knows something about what's going on, it's Mike. Okay, so you absolutely positively need to go and take a look at what he's doing. Okay, super good stuff here. And if you sign up for his stuff, the great news is that you'll be able to go ahead and get a weekly video from him. You saw the screen captures from what I shared earlier with his picture in the bottom corner. So he uses Loom. He does like a 10-minute video every week, and he tells you exactly what's happening in the market across the country. Okay, now, so definitely go ahead and check that out. Now, you can also go to Altos Research here. Okay, and so I love this, and you can run a free report anywhere in the country. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use right here, and let's just use Dallas. Okay, let's take a look at Dallas and put in Dallas, Texas here. And I think I can just do all of Dallas here. Dallas, Georgia, and there's Dallas, Texas. Okay, so let's look at what's happening here in Dallas. Okay, now what you can see here is that the median home price of houses $560, the median price of new listings $450. It's $110,000 difference, right? And we're looking at, we're only going back to March 25th, so April, May, June, July, 4 months. So in 4 months, $110,000 in value. Average days on market, oddly enough, still down. Median days on market, steady. Homes that have had their price decreased, 37%. A third of the homes in the market, not these newly listed ones, but a third of the homes that were on the market have already had the price listed, taken down, and 3% increases, crazy people. And then 6% of the people actually have relisted their home. You can also see here that the market action peaked at around 94%. Back in May to June, July, so 2 months ago, when it's already down to 76%. I was watching this, 3 months ago, all of these were pinned everywhere, all down 100%. Everything was completely reversed. No price decreases, lots of price increases, but this is what's happening. Let me see here. Anybody, I guess, like if you want, let me know here. Hold on one second here. Hold on one sec here. I would love to, if anybody has a zip code that they'd like to have me show, I'd be happy to go through a quick zip code for you, if that makes sense. Anybody have a zip code they want to take a look at? I'd be happy to share the zip code and take a look at what's happening in your market. Just type in the 5 numbers. I'll give you a second here. Got a few folks here. Anyone? Bueller? Can't see the slide. It's still showing Simonson. Thanks. That's why I figured, so I'll fix that now. I'll do that again. My bad. So let's go here. 30004. Okay, so let's do the share screen. Okay, we're going to share Chrome tab. We're going to share real-time market reports. Okay, share. All right. View tab. Okay, you guys can see this now. You can see this page and stuff right here. All right, so as long as I know you can see it now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing it for 2 seconds here. And I'm going to go put in these zip codes that these folks gave me here, and we're going to take a quick look at it. So Remove some fruits. Remove from stream. Hey, remember, I promised to be an expert in the market, not on how to use StreamYard. Remember that, okay? So let's do this, and then let's go to share, and let's go to stop the screen, okay? And let's go to share again. Let's share screen, and let's go to Chrome tab, and let's go to real-time research reports. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen now. All right, now you can see that, right? You can see the real-time reports, yeah? Okay. So, oh, I don't want I want Simon said I want here. So we said 30004. 0004. Okay. Alpharetta, Georgia. Correct? So you can see the numbers. I just want to make sure you guys can see the numbers as I'm going through them here, yeah? All right. So Alpharetta, Georgia, median list price of existing homes, $815,000. Median price of new listings, $624,500. 30% of the homes have been decreased, and 19% of them have been relisted. Almost 20% of homes are being relisted. Inventory has doubled since March, and the market action has dropped from a high of 75. So pretty crazy stuff here. Really crazy that that's actually happening. So let me see here. Somebody said 33609. Let's take a look at that. So 33609. Tampa, Florida. Okay, same thing. And so this is all of Tampa, of course. This is crazy, by the way. You guys have coastal properties there too. So, but this is important, all right? Like, you need to show your sellers this. You know, if I'm a seller and I want to sell my home in the next 90 days, and I have a house that's, you know, in the millions or something like that, you know, if I'm going to sell, I've got to seriously consider putting my home somewhere around $850,000, $900,000, right? Average days on market's pretty high. Median days on market has stayed the same. Look at this, 41%, right? 41% increase. 41% of homes are being decreased. Only 2% are being relisted. And partially that could be because they're higher priced houses and they're staying on the market longer. But you can see that the market action right here has gone from a high of 56 to 45. I mean, we're almost at a buyer's market here, right? It's going to be a lot easier to, you can only see the homepage. Why is that only the case? This is so weird. I apologize. Let me figure this out here. Sorry, full screen layout. Nope. Let me remove from stream. You should be able to see what I'm doing on the page here. That's so weird. Let me here, share. Let me share screen. Let me just share my whole screen here. Window, entire screen. Let me share the entire screen and I'll just tab over and you should be able to see it, right? Okay, look at that. Now, I guess if I go here and here, if I do that, can you guys see it? Yes? No? I don't know why it's not working. I apologize. It's supposed to. Okay, here's the thing. This is the link here. I'll just drop the link in so you can go do the research yourself because obviously it's not showing. But let me just go ahead and put the link in here and you can kind of follow along if you want to give another zip code. But here's the link, okay? All right. So you could see it when I switched over that way. Is that correct? If I went to full screen and switched over, you could see that. Yes, is that correct? Because I can go back and show you the screen if I do it that way again. Share my screen. Is that a yes? Sorry. Again. Okay, cool. All right. Well, let me do it that way then. So we'll do share screen, and then I'm going to do the entire screen, and then I'll switch over to this. Okay. So whoever was in Tampa, these are the numbers that were in Tampa, right? So you can see huge difference. You can see this here. I mean, this is great. I mean, I would subscribe to this because you can get good customized data and a lot more information for your market. I got some other stuff here that shows you what's going on, and you can see, I mean, this is crazy. Look at what's happened with prices, you know, and whatnot over the last years. They steadily increased, but they've been haywire for the last year or two. I mean, the year or so. But anyway, so the whole point is lots of good data here. You can actually subscribe to this. It's fairly inexpensive, but then this gets updated every day directly in your portal. Somebody asked about 3004, which is Alpharetta, right? Same thing. 100, you know, huge difference between 815 and 624. 30% of decrease, 20%, almost 20% back on the market. Inventories doubled in the last 4 months. Sentiment down. So you're sitting with somebody and you're talking with them on the seller side. They should be able to see that if they're going to sell their home now and they have to sell in the next 90 days, they need to price their home properly. And quite honestly, this is why we want to work with people that have a life event, right? If I just want to sell my home to see if I can get the most sold, or if I get the right price, I'll sell it. If not, that home is not going to sell because they're not going to price it properly. They're not going to work with price reductions. But people who have a life event, that birth, that God forbid, that death, getting a job, leaving a job, all that stuff, when they've got a time frame associated with that, you're much more likely to go ahead and get those folks to actually work with you. Okay. All right. Hopefully that helped you. Let me stop sharing my screen here. Is there an actual report PDF that is available to show clients? Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. You can use this as a live tool on a listing if you want to, but you can also subscribe to it, and then you'll have your own portal and you can bring that up too. So I wouldn't bring the PDF. I would actually go ahead and subscribe to the program, or if you want to, you can use the free resource there and just pop it up, and then you can run the cursor across like I did to show them what's happened with the prices and stuff like that. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, so we've talked about Mike's blog and we've talked about the reports. All right. So the other thing that I look at, that I stay in touch with, is I look at the Mortgage Bankers Association of America, and I stay in touch with what's going on their site too. And forgive me as I share my screen again, and we go into that like Jimi Hendrix vortex of screens after screen after screen after screen. But if you oops, sorry about that. So if you look at the MBA, right? This is the Mortgage Bankers Association of America. They have all kinds of stuff that has to do everything with mortgages. So, right, mortgage applications decreased in latest MBA weekly survey. Mortgage credit availability decreased in June, right? Right. So there's stuff here decreased in latest MBA. See here, mortgage applications decrease 13, 2 weeks in a row. Mortgage credit availability decreased, right? All these things let you know that things are not, screaming fast on the buyer side, right? Sometimes you can see what's going on with the policy. Then they also have update on what they've been watching along. And then in the latest news from MBAs. Now, look, I'm not from Mortgage Bank Association. I'm not looking for you to become an expert in mortgages. All I'm looking for you to do is to know what's going on here, right? You want to go ahead and kind of look at the survey and see what's happening, right? So decreased 1.7% from the week earlier, right? You can see the numbers here, right? So you can go through and again, this just helps you understand what's going on, right? This doesn't mean you have to become an expert in mortgages, but 1.7%. What did it go down here? Another 5.4%. So 1.7, 5.4. So what's that? Almost little over 7% decrease in mortgage applications in 2 weeks. Kind of a big deal, right? So, and again, this is information you can either show to your prospects, or you can share with your prospects and let them know that, hey, listen, I don't know if you know this, but there's been a 7% decrease, almost a 7.1% decrease in mortgage applications over just the last 2 weeks alone. So we're down, and it tells you the numbers. We're down from this many 100,000 to this many 100,000. What does that tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Yeah, that fewer buyers are actually applying for mortgages for homes, right? So we've talked about prices going up. We've talked about inventory going up. We've talked about fewer buyers coming to the market. Standard economics 101, loss of supply, low demand, prices are going down. The question is do you want to wait until it goes all the way down till you figure it out too late? Or would you like to go ahead and take advantage of what's going on now and be one of the first people that sells their home and still gets a good price for it? Make sense? Here's the other thing, and I think you want to make sure you know this math. Every let's go to bank rate here. Hold on. Let's go to bank rate. So I also I check out, there's tons of places to look for mortgages and stuff like that. I just go to bank rate because it's nice and easy and they show comparisons of different years. But, every 1 point increase in an interest rate cuts somebody's buying power by 10%. So it's $10,000 for every, $100,000 of value. So, if I have a $400,000 house and interest rates went up a point, now I can only afford a $360,000 house. Does that make sense? So, what you've got to be able to look at here is, everything that's been happening with each of these rates of 15 and 13. Now, this is important, right? Go back here. Rates were literally 318, 418, 518, 618, 718. We're almost 4 months. And in 4 months, we went from 447 to 567. So it's a 1.2% increase, right? So that's basically $12,000 for every $100,000 of value, right? So $400,000, 48. So now we're at 358, 352, right? So you can show this to people and say, hey, listen, good news is rates have come down. Tough news is that people are out. Somebody could afford your house 3 months ago, 4 months ago, can't afford it anymore, right? On the buyer side, what you're saying to people is say, look, interest rates have come down, just about a third of a point. So, your buying power actually has gone up. And, the good news is for you is that there are more houses on the market now. And that anybody that's houses on the market now is probably more serious in selling because they know that inventory's crept up. They also know there aren't as many buyers out there. So we have a golden opportunity to go back in, make an offer, get a good deal, maybe even ask for some closing costs and some other concessions if there's nobody else vying for the property, right? So you can show this to sellers and tell one story, show it to buyers and tell another story. But either way, you need to be on top of this to understand what's happening, okay? Let's see here. Now, also, stop sharing, hide. Okay, cool. All right. Again, please don't. I may have to edit this out before I post it so I don't look like a complete clown, or any more of a clown than I already do. Now, this is interesting too. I'd like to see what's going on historically here. Let's just take a look at the historical price of houses and how you can actually use this information for the purposes of helping people feel good about what's going on here. So you can see that, since right here, Q1 2012 was when things just started to get a little better, right? I mean, technically the Great Recession was 9 to 11, right? We tanked in 7 and 8. The actual recession itself, which a recession is what, 2 years of specific negative gross GDP, but I'm not sure. But 2 months for two quarters for a recession, 4 quarters for a depression or something like that. Again, not economics, not math major. I know enough to be dangerous, but whole point is we just started coming out of the recession here. But you can see that for the most part, homes have gone up since then, right? And this was a low, so Q2 15, but I mean, that's the lowest it's been in 7 years by a bunch, right? This is 339.7, right? Even when COVID hit, we were still at 374.5. So, and here's the other thing. Now we're up to, I did the math today. So if we go from Q2 220 to the end of Q1 222, we're up to 507,000 at that point. We're a little lower now. I think we showed earlier that was like 450 something, 460 something. Fact of the matter is we're still up 30% over the last 2 years, right? And even the toughest markets in the Great Recession went down 25%. You know what I'm saying? And it took them a long time to do that. There's no indication that what we're going through right now is anything close to what we went through there. So even if we do have a settling, if we do have a recession, it is highly unlikely we're going to lose 35%, 35% of the value in or for that matter, equity of home in home. So I think it's important that, if you need to show somebody, why it's still a good time to sell their home, is that if they bought it at any time in the last whatever, for God's sakes, even 2 years ago, they still have an opportunity to sell it for more money. So we're way up, way up. Okay. And so we're way up on even people who bought it a long time ago. So super important to help people understand that despite what's going on now, significantly higher in the value of homes right now, and not just of last couple of years, but over the last several years. Okay. All right. Last one. Doctor Housing Bubble. All right. So I love this website. I got this from Cliff Freeman. It says gear up for the 2022 and 23 housing correction, 5 charts highlighting the pain ahead for the housing market. So this guy's been studying the market. He puts out a monthly report, and he's in the so housing is always the best sector, the last sector to turn recession. It also be noted that it's not prologue for the future. So his case in point is that the crisis of 7 to 9 did not lead to a housing bottom until 12. It is worth noting that over 7 million foreclosures compared to only 1 million were the subprime flavor. So anyway, take a look at oops, I don't want to read this. No, thank you. Okay, but he gives you all this data and lets you know what's going on with respect, and it's really cool. It says, so, why things are going to settle a little bit. It gives you actual data and help you understand what's going on. But, he talks about mortgages. Interest rates have no choice but to correct. Number 2, households are maxing out credit cards. And actually, one of the biggest indicators of whether or not someone is going to lose their home is late payments on credit cards. Pretty interesting correlation there. Number 3, cash out refinances are imploding. And part of this is due to the fact that people decided that they were going to, keep eating the free lunch that was given to them, not pay their mortgage. And then finally they got that big bailout where, they didn't have to pay their mortgage back and got to start, tabula rasa, clean slate from, paying the mortgages for 2 years, but also they weren't working. So now they've got to pay their bills and get a job. If you follow any news, you can see a lot of people are scrambling back to the market, getting a job because, the gravy train is mostly ended. Number 4, housing values increased faster during the pandemic than the Great Recession. So you can see same story here. And then lastly, jobs in the recession. So, joblessness has gone way down, right? So, but, things have kind of settled now. So the whole point is this guy tells you exactly what's happening. And so you can use this information to help people make a good decision about whether or not they should move or not. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you need to know enough to be able to help somebody understand why it would be or would not be a good time to make a move. Okay. And if you go ahead and you just stay on top of this stuff and look at it, I mean, I look at it daily because I choose to, but if you look at this stuff at least once a week and just, drhousingbubble.com, mba.org, check out the Altos blog with Mike Simonson, look at the Altos reports, check out, what's happening with home prices on that Fred document. It's from the St. Louis Federal Exchange. If you just look at those things every week and then just kind of look at the news as what's happening with respect to joblessness and whatnot, you'll have all the information that you need to lead somebody to the conclusion that they should definitely, buy a house now, sell a house now, or hold off. One last thing, and this is important to notice, or important to note. Right now, and I think Mike Simonson said this a couple weeks ago, the average time that people are staying in their houses now is 10 years, right? Since the Great Recession, people have been staying in their home for 10 years, a decade. Historically, it's been 5 to 7 years. Well, let's just take the middle. Let's just say 7 years. Okay, if somebody wants to stay in a home for less than 7 years, maybe even less than 5 years, they probably should not buy a home right now. Okay, it's on the margin, right? But if they're 5, 7 years or longer, they should buy a home because I just looked at 2012 to 2022. I looked at a 10-year segment, and over those 10 years, even though there were some ups and downs, people were way up after that 10-year segment. Okay, really important to note that. The other thing is that if they're in transit and moving and they're only like 1 or 2 years, I know we just said this, but definitely don't want to sell them home. So if they're looking 5 years minimum, preferably 7, 10 or more, and then they're looking to move in the next 90 days and they've got a life event associated with what they're doing, and they can either have equity in their home to sell or they have cash and or financing to buy, you should work with them. If they don't meet those criteria, do not try and twist their arm and fit a square peg into a round hole. It's going to make your life miserable. Okay. I've enjoyed talking with you today. Hopefully you found this information helpful. I'm going to go ahead and post this. This will show up on my different pages. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to take a look and see how obnoxious those transitions were. And I may get them edit out and put a fresh, clean version of this up. So if you have any questions, whether you're watching this now or in recorded delay, if you will, go ahead and ask any questions, post anything. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thanks everybody who showed up today. And, we'll be talking to you soon. So it's been good. Again, thanks for this little special edition of On the Phone. Hey there, this is Wally Bressler. And on behalf of my guest today, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this episode of On the Phone. If you'd like more information on how to overcome sales call reluctance, procrastination, and self-sabotage, and become an expert on the phone, go to www.phonesalessecrets.com. And if you'd like my free course on how to overcome sales call reluctance, please go to www.phonesalessecrets.com